My Throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, now the films celebrating their 10th anniversary this week. Pretty much 10 years, we saw the Monsterverse, and that was the very first film in this franchise, and that is Godzilla. Now, Godzilla was, of course, directed by Gareth Edwards, who's also working on the upcoming Jurassic Park film, and he also did the creation on. Godzilla was a really good one. Of course, you had both Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, both actually playing a couple in this, which is a little odd because we're known for them playing siblings. But okay. Uh, and of course, you had Bryan Cranston, who you would actually expect Bryan Cranston to be in the film a lot. Spoiler alert, by the way. He's barely in the film. He literally just gets killed in the opening. So there's that. But Godzilla is still a really good one. Of course, you had Ken Watanabe, David Shaw Sally Hawkins. Of course, the first installment in this Monsterverse, which of course we end up with Kong Skull Island, followed by Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is maybe my least favorite out of the franchise. And obviously the Godzilla and Kong films, we're getting another one. So this Monsterverse is going to continue going around, and the original, like Godzilla from 2014, is a really terrific one, and it's a lot of fun. Godzilla's design always looked great, so I really enjoyed it a lot. All right, also turning 10 is Million Dollar Arm, which starred John Hamm along with the late great Bill Paxton, and also had the late great Alan Arkin. This is directed by Craig Gillespie, who's also doing the upcoming Supergirl film. And if you guys don't know much about the story of this, the film is based on a true story of baseball pitchers Rinku Singh and Dinesh Patel, who were discovered by sport agent J.B. Bernstein after winning a reality show competition. And this is a really decent true story film. John Hamm was really good. I love a good underdog sports film, and this was a really intriguing one worth checking out. All right. Now turning 20 this week, we got the movie Troy, starring Brad Pitt, Orlando Bloom, directed by the late great Wolfgang Peterson. Eric Bana was in this. Sean Bean, Brian Cox. Had some really good cast members in this one. And if you guys don't know much about the story in this, it is loosely based on Homer's Iliads in its narration of the entire story of a decade-long Trojan War, condensing into little more than a couple of years, couple of weeks, rather than just quarrel between Achilles and Agamemnon. I can never pronounce these names. And of course, in 9 years, Achilles leads his Myrmidons along with the rest of the Greek army invading the historical city of Troy. And to be honest, it is a little bit forgettable. I mean, I was never really into this. Like, Brad Pitt was cool. Like, of course, Orlando Bloom. Diane Kruger was also in this. But it was a little too boring. I mean, I feel like they were trying to, with this and the Alexander movie, because they both got released in the same year, I think they were trying to capitalize on the success of stuff like Braveheart, Gladiator. They could never really find the next Gladiator or Braveheart, and Troy was a film that really showed up. All right, also turning 20 is the terrible Jamie Foxx film, Breakin All The Rules, which stars Jamie Foxx as Quincy Watson, who has been having a really tough time after being abruptly dumped by his fiancée, played by Bianca Lawson. He decides to quit his job as an editor. Remarkably, Quincy manages to turn things around when he pens a book about ending relationships. While the book also leaps to best-selling status, his cousin Evan, played by Morris Chestnut, gets inspired to leave his beautiful girlfriend Nikki, played by Gabrielle Union, who falls for Quincy. He has some cool cast members in this: Gabrielle Union, Morris Chestnut, Jamie Foxx. It's not It's a terrible film. It's not all that funny. It's nothing like Jamie Foxx character was very unlikable. It's always cool to see Gabrielle Union. Like that woman just never ages at all. Who doesn't love Gabrielle Union? But yeah, this was a pretty terrible one. All right, also turning 20 is Coffee and Cigarettes, uh, which had a really cool cast list that includes likes of Roberto Benigni, Bill Murray, Kate Blanchett, Iggy Pop, Jack White, Alfred Molina, Tom Waits, and it's where like the 11 vigilante film focuses on human interactions that happens while that's a film vigilante film. It's not an action movie, by the way. That happens when like partaking the everyday indulgence of coffee and cigarettes, featuring well-known actors and other artists as themselves or some version of themselves. And this is a really decent one. It has some really good cast members, really cool story arc. Of course, seeing like Bill Murray here, who pretty much you also have Wu Tang Clan also pops up in this. It's a really decent flick, worth giving a go. All right, also turning 20, we got The 24th Day, which stars James Marsden, Scott Spearman, and Sofia Vergara, where a widower played by Scott Spearman with HIV holds a former lover played by Marsden hostage and forces him to submit to an AIDS test. And this is actually a really intriguing one, a little bit forgettable, but James Marsden, of course, he was trying to get into trying to break out outside of the X-Men franchise at the time. He was actually pretty good in this. Scott Spearman is great. Sofia Vergara is terrific. Not a bad little film if you guys haven't seen it. All right, films turning 30 this week. We got the original Crow. Now, The Crow, if you guys don't know, of course, it is based on a comic book starring the late great Brandon Lee, and sadly, this movie is more known for other than its great work of storytelling and stuff like that. Brandon Lee's performance is great. Sadly, this movie is also best known for, if you guys don't remember, Brandon Lee tragically lost his life on the set of this film. And they were trying to obviously work around it, and it worked out pretty well here. But that, of course, we do got the remake coming out, which hopefully, who knows, that's going to be any good. But The Crow from 1994, with the late great Brandon Lee, Tony Todd, Michael Wincott, Bai Lang, Ernie Hudson, is a terrific one. Here you got Brandon Lee in his final film appearance as Eric Draven, who's a musician who is resurrected from the dead to seek vengeance against a gang who murdered him and his fiancee. And Brandon Lee, of course, he was the son of the late great Bruce Lee, and Brandon Lee was terrific in this. The makeup was great, the action was great. Of course, this came out around a time where comic book films, we're trying to weren't as popular as they were today. And The Crow was not in my top 10 or top 20 favorite comic book adaptations. It is a really intriguing one worth checking out. It's a lot of fun, cool violence, a really entertaining one worth giving a go. Also turning 30, we got Spike Lee's classic Crooklyn, starring the likes of Alfred Woodard, Delroy Lindo, and it's pretty much a semi-autobiographical film. And it's pretty much the film primarily centers on a young girl named Troy Carmichael, played by Zelda Harris, and her family. Throughout the film, Troy learns the lessons to her rowdy brothers, Clifton, Wendell, Nate, and Joseph, her loving but strict mother, Caroline, played by Alfred Willard, and her naive, struggling father, Woody, played by Delroy Lindo, who, of course, obviously go on to work with, with Spike Lee again before. Crooklyn is not his best work, but it's a really intriguing one. Spike Lee, of course, at the time was he's still popular today, but obviously at the time he did stuff like Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, and this is a really intriguing film he put out. Of course we mostly just call Spike Lee movies Spike Lee joints, and this is a really great Spike Lee joint worth checking out. All right. Now, not my main to go with the 4 year ones, but the 4 year ones, we got a movie called Finders Keeper, where Georgina and her lover Joseph steals like 5 million from an estate and hide it in a coffin in the board, and they board on a train to New York while she pretends to be a widow. However, another man, Michael, pretending to be a U.S. Army officer, also has his eye on the money. So yeah, it's pretty much people trying to get like this money from pretty much a dead person. So yeah, it's an '80s, like it's a weird '80s comedy, So you know what you're getting with that. You also had the likes of Michael. Oh yeah, I forgot. This even featured young Jim Carrey, like before he became very popular and stuff like that. You also had Beverly D'Angelo, Louis Gossett Jr., Brian Dennehy, Michael O'Keefe. It's not a great film, but it is a really fun like '80s style film. If you guys have seen that. All right, also turning 40, we got Making the Grade, which features the likes of Judd Nelson, Andrew Dice Clay. You even had a young Dan Schneider in this. That's right, people. Before he became more of a pretty much a sicko, and before he created shows like Drake and Josh for tourist stuff, he was pretty much a little bit of an actor there. I believe he was in uh that show Head of the Class years at, like in the age too. If you guys don't know much about Making the Grade, a lazy trust fund hair played by Dana Olsen pays a New Jersey street hustler played by John Nelson to take his place at prep school. Now, of course, John Nelson became very popular in the '80s with obviously in the Breakfast. I believe this was actually before the Breakfast Club though. Uh, but this is actually it's a little bit forgettable. But I remember watching this one on TV one time. I don't really remember too much of it, but I remember I probably enjoyed it. I think I saw this movie when I was a little too young and stuff, but yeah, it's not really too memorable. There, like, it's not really an '80s movie such as like memorable as such as Breakfast Club or anything, but that's pretty much it there. Let me leave you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is obviously going to go to Godzilla. The 20-year one is actually going to go to probably the 24th Day. Like, none of those movies are really all that great, but the 24th Day is a better one. The 30-year one obviously is going to go to The Crow. And to be honest, something from the 4-year one really stands out. So, yeah, I mean, I guess Making the Grades a better one, but that's a little too forgettable to be honest. So, anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Simeon signing off.